back, everybody, to the Legion of Champions 2019 Series 4 PUBG PC India LAN finale. I'm Shaislayer. Joining me is Apollonia and Foxtrot. We've had two interesting maps played up thus far. First on Erangel, then on Miramar. The last time around, we did see, of course, 9-year-olds as well as GE, that resurgence back into the action, take the top two spots. Thoughts on the match?
Oh, that was insane. The previous match, it was a 4v3 situation.
Yep.
9-year-olds having only 3 members, but they managed to outplay with their strategy, use the next restricted area, the play area, and they moved towards their advantage. They had a very good plan, and they executed it brilliantly.
Yep, Foxtrot?
I think we just saw, like you said, a re-emergence of those teams come up. Let's just find out how they play in this game up.
Yep, without further ado, let's just straight up jump into map number 3. Erangel for the second time, as pretty much have already the players in the server. Looking at the first circle, a little bit shift towards the northern side this time around, but more or less, the trend being the fact that squads are dropping center of the map, and that pretty much means they've not really got too many problems of making those long rotates, Apollonia.
Exactly. There are no early drops. When one team drops, a few others at the same time. So everybody, they want to be in the middle of the map so that rotation will be easier. The plane flew from the northwest to slightly east, not even southeast.
Yep.
And this is basically what we can see where the teams have dispersed. It looks pretty decent. No one's on military base.
Yep, there's... The flight path itself didn't really facilitate, I'd say, going to a mill base in general. I mean, squads, sometimes like what Wade's Gaming and team are doing here, GE, is you find the vehicles at the bridge and then you make that rotate across to a military base. And of course, looking at, of course, 9-year-olds back again, we have Google X, God, Ghostly Boy, Accelerate, and Kevel. These guys did take the chicken dinner the last time around. Like you said, it was very tight there between 9-year-olds as well as GE, and you can see them immediately shoot up on the scorecard, 22 points up top. Kryptonite, thanks to their second, I'd say they took the victory in the first map. So thanks to that, they're sitting in 20 points, just 2 points difference right there. Third position for level 0. These guys have been pretty much performing consistently. I believe that was third place in the first map, fourth in the second, and you see themselves sitting nice and pretty on 19 points. TG, District 9, got a little bit of distance to catch up on, but this is just map 3 of a 10-map series. All 10 teams are in it with that shot of making it to Bangkok.
I'll have to agree, though, that they were rusty a little in the start, the first map Erangel, but they picked things up in Miramar. And it was not just picking things up, it was dominance. It was straight up a statement that was being sent out, and they were just picking fights that was necessary. They were rotating when it was necessary, and everything was just, they were in the game, basically. So now we're getting back to Erangel. Maybe things are spiced up.
Ooh, I want to have a look at Sadie, who is coming very close to another squad there on his left. And this man's been the scout for GE for a long time, and he's not one who's shy away from taking any sort of risks. But sometimes it just doesn't work out, which pretty much what happened in map number 1. But map 2, we saw the brilliance of GE being able to team fight their full potential, and that is something they're going to be relying on moving forward in this tournament.
Exactly, and in the first 2 games, we saw rotations to be much slower as what it is now. Because Crusaders and 9-year-olds, they are the last two to rotate into the safe zone. And it seems that it's actually really fast according to the timer. In the previous games, teams took a lot longer to start with the rotation. So that's a change that we can see. Teams, the moment they drop, they want to get into the safe zone so that they will be able to hold their ground and look for opportunities for kills.
Yeah, I'm
and
going
all
to
that.
move over to Tantrum here. This is the first player out. Sadie gets shot down, and I believe they couldn't get the full thirst out. He is bleeding internally. AK God up and clean up the first player. That's the scouter down on GE, and looks like they're not shying away from taking this entire fight. Justfire is also on the rotate across, and looks like they're going to just straight up cut their losses, move on top of the hill, and get away from all the action.
Exactly. I would like to let everybody have a look at the map. And we see that Crusaders are still in Lipovka, for some reason, and they are actually
Yeah, they're pretty much sitting on 7 points. They are in position, tied for position 8. So pretty much why I expect them to kind of take it easy here, stay away from all those fights, not have the best of starts. You want to get your juices flowing. You want to take a couple of fights, not really hard commit in. And once you have your momentum on your side, that is when I expect them to eventually pick up the pace through the match.
Yes, and we don't see this very often. We see Danny S and Gunblade coming into the safe zone, but their teammates are already ahead. They are in between TTX and as well as another team which is north of them. So far, everything looks all right. You know, they're all looting. They got to get their stuff. They got to get what they need to progress further in this game.
Yeah, I see already shots fired here. GEG, they're pretty much getting pinched here from two sides here. We have Rudra Whitey on one side, Kaushik and on the other. They're pretty much in no man's land. They've all found themselves a compound to hold, but now is the tricky part. Which fight do you want to take? You don't really want to leave yourself exposed trying to take unnecessary peek from the windows. You've got vehicles, so decisions. They've got 3 vehicles here. They can pretty much take a gamble and disengage.
Yes, we see Kryptonite and TEG. There's some sort of skirmish happening there. The side of Kryptonite, the team is split, and right in the middle of all their teammates is TEG. So how is that going to work out for them?
And I think one of the players, Natik, in fact, is going to pick up one of the cars and try and make his way out. Cardio frags is soon to follow, but looks like Aurum has an inkling here. Yup, that's an open top UAZ as well. One lucky shot there with the Mini is gonna be problematic to say the least, but I like KT. They're changing pace up. There's one player at the back, and they probably want to take the engage right here. 2 different avenues, a lot of pressure from multiple angles, and see if that pressure is going to lead to a knock and eventually a kill.
We see the Crusaders, Kryptonites, finally forming up, making sure that they're all together, because they know they're playing a fight with TEG sooner or later, and might as well be sooner. We see him do some damage there. Got a few shots in, but just could not connect the confirmed kill.
Yeah, and they're just trying to save the vehicles right now. You don't really want to lose tires and vehicles at this point of time and then be forced to make your way out with just 1 or 2 vehicles. And we've seen how that has ended up for IR. Where pretty much we lost, I think, 3 players from the get-go in map 1, and TEG gonna look to avoid exactly that. Aurum, as well as Killua and the rest are pretty much gonna move south into another compound.
Now, right now on the map, there is some insane exchange. We did not see this in the first 2 games. There are shots being fired. TEG is right smack in the middle of all of this firepower that's going across the map. This is really intense because this is
Just fires being spotted there from TTX. He's trying to peek back with the window, but it is a 4x on an M16 on single fire, and he's getting the connect through as well. But in comes the cavalry. And I think that's probably going to discourage him from going for more. And Crusaders, I think he's got decent cover here. Maybe he can force TTX off this compound, Foxy.
Yes, that is true, though. They're just trying to hold their ground at this moment. They don't want to pick a fight too early and lose it. So they're making sure that they have a position that they can work with and finally eventually win that fight.
Exactly, and if we take a look at the map, all the teams are very close by. Now, we only saw teams come into contact when the circle is much smaller, when the play area is much smaller. It looks like Indian rivals, they are safe, they're coming in slowly, but TEG is right in the center.
Yeah, AK God there. They're taking turns peeking through the window to see, hey, where exactly are these 4 players playing from? And the easy partner has managed to get some damage in, maybe some utility expended. Absolute bonus if you can get rid of some of those helmets as well. Instant leads to a 1 headshot knock later in the fights. And Crusaders, for now, pretty comfortable holding this ridge. They've got a lot of cover. Absolutely no chance of a backstab coming through. So Danny S and team, a lot was riding on their shoulders. They were expected to come out and perform big. I was having a chat with Danny S as well earlier, saying, yep, we're here, we're fired up to win this tournament. But the first 2 games hasn't really translated into exactly that, but I think this is where you get that warm-up in.
Yes, and Crusaders is in a relatively safe spot because north side, behind them, there's not many teams. But for TTX, Crusaders is shooting at TTX, and TTX is now in a very vulnerable position. So how are they going to move around? They just came out from Yasnaya. They have the chance to get all the loot that they can. Will they be able to translate it? We'll see.
Yep, we will soon see indeed. As this time around, I want to try and move over to IR right now. They've managed to weather the storm. They've survived the initial phase. That was the problem the first 2 times. They're sitting on, I believe, a total of only 3 or 4 points.
Yes.
They've got 2 kills the first match, only the 1 the second time around. And you see them sitting at 7 points there up total. So there's a lot of ground to cover already. 15 points to the leaders right there. And
Yes, and we see Kryptonite is firing shots over at Crusaders, but they are also going to be intercepted by TEG, and coming into the circle is another team. They're in a very dicey position as of now.
yep, there is, if you can actually switch over to the other feed, we have KT. 2 players holding up the compound. There is 1 more player up in the watchtower as well. And squads pulling up on top of the hill. I think there is going to be a fight eventually breaking out there if Squad Green actually decides to hold the ridge up top.
If you take a look at the map, we see level 0 is basically on a collision course to Indian rivals. And it's not, sooner or later they're going to meet, and that's the lake over there is what is going to separate them. And
Yep.
that is where we'll see more fights come in.
I think this is really good for Indian rivals because in the first 2 games, it was pretty hard for them. First game losing all their members. Second game, it was a tough run for them because they kept meeting teams left, right, and center. But now they'll be able to rotate very, very safely into the play area.
Yep, as the circle is something that we refer to as a yin-yang, where you have a water body on one side, and then the squads pretty much have to decide which part of the water body you want to hold. This time around, I think it's a little bit more easier choice to do, because I see it's pretty much a Yasnaya Fields ending is what I expect it to be. TTX starting to pile on the pressure, 3 kills already on the scorecard. Some action going down at Yasnaya, 3 kills, good start. There's still all 10 players, 10 squads rather, in the server, 15 minutes in, and this is the kind of play that I do expect. Take a few shots, look for positions, look for informations, keep looting, but don't really hard commit to a fight.
Exactly. Team 4F as well. Now they're looking for opportunities. They are holding their ground. I'm pretty sure that they are aware that the teams are all around them because they are right bang in the center of the play area.
Yep.
It can be advantageous, but they can also be caught in a crossfire.
Looks like 9-year-olds have spotted D9 inside the building there. I'm a ghostly boy. Seems like he has some information that we don't know about. He's being, oh, there's the peak. And that instant headshot back with 29 health. And that's going to discourage D9 from taking that fight there. Again, one more squad that's been starting off strong, but hasn't been able to make it to that top 2 position just yet. But all of that could probably change real soon, Apollonia.
Exactly. We have so many more games to go. This is the 3rd game, and this map is the Erangel map. So now we see, Yasnaya is very close by. And we do see the restricted area to be close to Yasnaya. So that means that taking cover in those buildings is definitely going to be part of some of the team strategies. And TTX seems to be in a good position right now in Yasnaya. All the other teams, they got to rotate. It's insane, but at least it's not near the water body. It's not going to cause any chaos around that area.
Yeah,
Like I said, we're seeing level 0 almost lock horns with Indian rivals here. They're perfectly placed to win this fight against them. But let's see what.
I'm scared, in fact, for IR, because they've not really got too many options to work with here. Their blue is right behind them. Yes, they have vehicles, but there is level 0 currently preventing them from making that rotate across. Coldzera did safely make it through. Yes, some shots taken, but I think most of the applause should go to Google X God and team, because they are third-partying in and giving them that maybe slight distraction that allows eventually Flix and Hydroflick to make that rotate across.
It's really good because Amit Coldzera, he was the scout. He went into the play area first, and excellent and everyone else, they followed behind him, and that's going to be good because for now they have a successful rotation. We do see that Kryptonite is having a tough time coming into the circle, but nevertheless, now the teams are about to get into a clash.
Yep, it's going to be Yasnaya Fields ending. A lot of open spaces. It's going to come down to who has, at the end of the day, more utility to try and eliminate some of those angles and get those individual duels in. But eventually, you need to hit those shots. You need to get the knocks. And CRS seems like they're going to end up eventually finding one. Danny S with the knock, goes for the shot again, but doesn't manage to pick up the second one. But Rocky is still knocked, but there's decent cover inside. I think he should be rest back up soon.
Exactly, this is really good for them. You know, this is the right time in the game to pick out fights and to try to get teams down to 3-man, 2-man. And when the circle becomes smaller, if you can retain all 4 members, you obviously will have the upper hand.
Yep, and I see Foxtrot following 9-year-olds. How are they doing at the western edge of the circle right now?
Looks like they've spotted level 0 though. They're taking a little bit of damage. They get spotted as well, but they want to engage in that gunfight and take them out. Just like Apollonia said, this is the time to win those gunfights and get that advantage early hand.
Ooh, and level 0 end up losing one of the players right there. Does get thirsted out, and there's absolutely no trades coming across. Captain Pons from the Watchtower that did try a couple of shots through with the SLR. Does have the 6x on it, but unfortunately, no trade potential. He spawns out. Accelerate there, quick tap across. But we've seen Accelerate, that mad Car 98 shot from map number 2. If I'm Captain Pons, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't really want to peek too long now, Apollonia.
Exactly. Level 0, you know, they're caught in a tough position because 4F and 9-year-olds, they are around and they are firing shots at level 0. But they got to watch their back because most of the teams are primarily on the west side of the map and slightly towards the south. And there are exchanges between TTX as well as Kryptonite in the north side of the map. It's insane. Now the play area is smaller and it looks like it's actually going towards the west side. So those teams, they made the right choice.
Yep, as I had pretty much predicted, the zone did actually go towards Yasnaya Fields, and most of the squads are already in position there. TTX, unfortunately, does need to make that rotate across real soon. They're pretty much in the buildings, which is why they're not really too much worried about the shots coming their way. But as soon as they step out, if they decide to make their way down north of the zone, there is Autumn Whitey and team in TEG just waiting to pounce on that opportunity, Foxtrot.
That is true, though. We already see 9-year-olds picking out gunfights over there with Captain Pons as well as taking a few shots, though. No damage done, but is still going to make sure he travels all the way into the circle.
Oh, wonderful shot there by Guardian. Finds the first knock. All the knocks coming out. Guardian gets traded back across. Peeking a little too aggressively. There goes down. But we've had a lot of fights. We've had a lot of knocks. We've had kills come through as well. But all 10 squads still in the server, Apollonia.
Exactly. So level 0, it's tough for them because they're right in the middle of District 9 as well as 9-year-olds. So it's going to be hard, but we see TTX is absolutely killing it right now. They just almost eliminated a whole squad. That is insane, and we do see that TEG is fighting back towards TTX, but they are coming in strong.
Yep, there's smoke out in the open as AK God as well as Justfire are going to try and make their way towards a TEG, but utility-wise, the question is, do they have enough to actually run in the open fields? I'm guessing they do have, if they do have vehicles, it's pretty much now or never. But looks like, yeah, they found the angle there. Otherwise, he does get tagged hard. Tap away from AK God. Beryl, that range, AK God, his name says it all. I have seen him hit some mad sprays with the AK-47, and Beryl, that range, I wouldn't count him out.
TEG are sitting ducks at this point because they've got no cover to run to, and even if they have those smokes coming in, they know there's only 2 ways they can escape from the Watchtower.
And AK God eventually does end up getting knocked there. Shots coming in from the watchtower. Luckily, Justfire makes his way across the nade, finds two, and that is just gonna be hard for Tantrum now. More players to have to rotate across. Rocky is bleeding internally. He is down as well, and it's all down to Kinzu, who's watching a completely different angle. He's watching the flank. He's not the one in the action. He's far away, and I think this is pretty much curtains for TTX at this point of time.
It's really tough for them, you know, but TEG, they're in one spot in just one little settlement, one building. So that could be tough for them if they do get naded or if other teams are coming in strong. But they also have a nice advantage where they can see outside of that building and shoot at unsuspecting teams. But however, the play area has reduced, and it looks like none of the teams, but GE does make it in. We see Vets right in the middle of the play area, as well as Indian Rivals shooting over. This is insane. Indian Rivals is shooting over at GE.
Yeah, they're pretty much the only ones in the zone, and they're still 4 strong. I absolutely love the change of approach.
And there's a skirmish going on the northwest side of the map. People are going down. 4F is getting kills. TEG is getting kills as well. Indian Rivals, this is a complete massacre across the whole map.
Indeed, as 9-year-olds do get the elimination there. Tantrum Esports, unfortunately, are going to bow out in 7th position. As IR, they do have D-line coming up on top of the hill. They're taking a few shots, head spotted, and 81 HP down. And that's pretty much probably all the pieces that they're going to do for the next few moments, Apollonia.
I think Indian Rivals is what they're waiting for. Now they're
Well,
holding
that
their
knock
ground.
comes through as well there. Eventually, from IR, smokes out, but the Tantrum get right, gets a little bit better, sneaking out the edge smoke, but does not survive. Eventually, though, excellent. Finds himself the flush out and now D9 in a world of trouble.
Indian Rivals, you know, they're holding their ground right now. They don't want to let that team come into the safe zone. And at this point, they've got to split up. District 9, they have to split up. 2 members are down. Only Jacko is left. And is Indian Rivals going to try and get that last kill on Jacko? We're not too sure. But let's see how this goes. There's also a skirmish at the top, on the top right-hand side.
Yep, there is in fact DEG. They lose Aurum. Killua goes for the shots up against Roy, but just managed to get behind the ridge before he does eventually get knocked. But Aurum Whitey, they're gonna have to commit in if they are gonna get the res out. He's wide out in the open. Utility-wise, I don't see a smoke at all. This, I'd say, is gonna be a fight to the death. GE versus GEG. They full commit to this.
Exactly, and now the circle is getting even smaller. It looks like it's going to be an open field with some haste.
As well. Can he get the kill? Lynch does manage to find out that's IR Flicks. I think it's the third party in onto Roy. They were pretty much tunnel visioned in onto this fight with TEG. But surprise, surprise, final few circles, you gotta look all the way around Foxy.
That is true, though. They got third-partied, but that was just a lot of damage taken, leaving only Neelesh now for Global Esports to fight for his team.
Indeed, man, as IR seems like they are also going to get into a fight on the side. They've lost one. Hydra Flick is up ahead. Aggressive Axelin is down. Hydra Flick luckily has some power with the UAZ as well as the haystack there. He's got his teammate coming through as well. The first aid goes off. Alone literally has 5 smokes to work with. The absolute ideal situation when it is a field's ending. You can pretty much isolate a couple of angles and ensure that you have a 1v1 at all times.
It's really good for Indian Rivals. You know, this was the opportunity that they were looking for. We see shots being fired across. You know, Kryptonite is fighting for their life. They do have one member going down. What is going to happen next? Nightic, he's doing his best.
Rez is actually coming out onto the knock player there. Hydra Flick, but iFlix holds the angle as looks like that they're going to drop the smokes eventually. They've got a lot to work with. I think at this point of time, you want to eventually spread out, get yourself a couple more angles to work with. Get the knocks in, get the numbers advantage, and right now with GE on one side, they can pretty much isolate this fight with smokes on the right as iFlix. That smoke has eventually worn out, but he's peeking wide out in the open. keeping his entire body exposed, that's a risky play. But I guess at the end of the day, you gotta take risks if you're gonna come out on top. And to spice things up, there is a drop that is going straight in the middle. Kaushik maybe peeks a finger out there to see where Hydroflick is playing from, but instead it's Hydroflick who's getting gunned down from the side. Thrown to goals.
It's not safe for Indian rivals. Even
Gold Zero as well, two players. KT completely ignores them from the side and they get chunked down to about half HP. And Nathik is now aware as well of IR and the angle that they're trying to shoot from. They've been holding this angle from quite some time. Surprised that they did eventually give them an opening. Nathik goes prone, and I think it's gonna be, at the end of the day, a lot of snakes in play here during this final phase. Foxtrot.
As that is true, though, we see Kryptonite picking a fight with IR there. Very nearly to alive, though. They did get one down, but that revive did come in. So, not much damage done, but obviously those helmets and vests will be useless now.
Indeed, it is, as I think IR versus KT is where all the action's happening, and there are a couple more squads also in play. It is 4 squads alive here in this zone. The 2 of them on the eastern side of the circle, they're pretty much going, ignore us. We're not even here. They're just gonna wait it out till these 2 squads have fought each other and probably manage to get 1 additional points position on that leaderboard, Apollonia.
There's one last member of GE trying to come into the circle, but we do see somebody goes down from Kryptonite, gets a kill onto Indian Rivals, and Indian Rivals fights back and drops Kaushik.
Yeah, Kaushik's down, and looks like Cold Zera ends up going down as well. Kryptonite putting on the pressure. They've been patient thus far. Every single time IR has got damage in, it hasn't really phased them just yet. They've been keeping their eye on the bigger prize here, that is to come out on top of this 4v4 engage. And now with Cold Zera down, they've got to worry only about 2. But looks like Hydroflick will be eventually able to walk up, get the red 7 HP. He's decided to walk out in the open, and somehow he makes his way across. Luckily that UAZ is also blown up, so he holds on to his dear life. But iFlix now, I think, has to come into this. TEG, they're also in some trouble. They've lost a couple of players, and this might just be the perfect opportunity to get Cold Zera up.
That was insane. GE Nilesh, he took down 2 people on his own. Last player standing. That was extra points for his team. Job well done, but now we're down to the last 3 teams. Shots are being fired. Indian Rivals, they are doing their best. iFlix, he's looking for an opportunity. Hydroflick as well, he's right there. TEG, 1 player left, moving towards the crate. Is he going to open it? I don't think so.
Look at Lynch though. Lynch is pretty much down there. Is like, you don't see me. He's got the entire John Cena going up on Indian Rivals. As Hydroflick, ooh, they get the knock. iFlix does the trick, and now Nathik, this is the opportunity. He's pushing up, but it is an aggressive push, a risky one, because they have no idea on where Lynch is right now, and TEG can easily walk away with the chicken dinner at this point of time if they play their cards right. But as of now, I think Nathik is just too far away. They're gonna have to let Rudra bleed out, and that is gonna be advantage Indian Rivals. At least for now, Hydroflick, the slow but steady walk out, and they see Rudra. That's the flush out. 2-man advantage. 2v1v1. Indian Rivals. We talked about the first 2 maps. They've not been able to achieve anything, but here they come out huge, and Chicken Dinner is probably on the cusp, but they've still got work to do. This can quite easily be 2 individual engages, which might even end up in 3rd position. But he crawls up. Look at him. Bye-bye. Nothing. So close. He's still not managed to spot him up. There's that small ridge cover. But it's just a little bit too late. He knows what's up, and he's got the trade. It's done, but the cleanup comes through, and that's going to be the chicken dinner going the way of Indian Rivals at the end. They played their cards right. It was super tight at the end, 2v1v1. I would have still bet Indian Rivals had this in the bag. But at the end, when the first spray did not connect, you had him look the wrong way. There was a lot of onus on Hydroflick there to get the job done. It was a 1v1v1. stand strong, and yeah, Indian rivals not there in the first two maps, and all of a sudden, they're gonna make their way back up the leaderboard and in contention for the title.
So this was really great for Indian rivals. You know, the first game, excellent, he did his best, he got 4th place. In the second map, they couldn't do much, you know, they got eliminated. But for this last play area in the third map, it was brilliantly played. They knew that it was a 2v1 v1.
Yeah.
And they took that opportunity and got that chicken dinner. And this is going to drastically increase them from the bottom of the board right to the top.
And besides that, I think they're going to achieve a lot in terms of momentum as well.
That's
They've been a little shaky the first two times, primarily because they haven't got a lot of play time in the game itself. We've had 2-3 players getting eliminated from the get-go. Map 1, excellent, trying to make his way towards the top 5, eventually ending up in 4th. Second time, not that great either. But now, they've been taking a lot safer approach. You said, you know what? They're going to be looking to fight us. They're going to be looking to hunt. Let us just stay away from the fight. Let's just get the juices flowing and get a feeler for the tournament itself. And looking at the scorecard after map number 2, I think we're going to see a lot of shifts right there. 7 points in. I see 6, 8, 9 kills on the board. That's going to be 19 points for Indian rivals. Total on 26. They're going to make it to at least top 3, if not better. So I think the best call there was to kind of take it slow. And once the mid-game comes in, they got very lucky with the circles as well. And eventually they were able to see it through 2v1v1. They played perfectly. They played the trade game, and they get the chicken dinner. So with that, 3 maps done. We have 3 different winners thus far.
Yes.
I think it's a little too early for predictions, but I would like to see if either of you can eventually get the overall winner right after 10 maps. So I'm going to take some Apollonia, you're first.
You know, right now, it's difficult for me to predict because, you see, Indian rivals, they didn't do very well for the first 2 games, but look here. They showed a brilliant strategy on how they rotated, how they stood their ground. There were people backstabbing them, they got rid of them, and they looked for opportunities. And that last part, it was basically a game of trust between 2 players, and they got that chicken dinner. How do I predict which team is going to come up? I think I've got to watch more games because right now, it's unpredictable. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Indeed. Foxtrot,
do
you have your picks?
First of all, yeah, I would like to applaud Indian rivals. Playing the first 2 maps, they get eliminated first. That's the first team to get out of the board. And then they come back on the 3rd map, and not only do they get the chicken dinner, but with 9 kills. And that is a lot to put on the board. So I think they've got this. The comeback is real.
I was talking to Axel in backstage after map number 2. He was up and about. He was cheerful. The entire conversation went something like, hey, it is 2 maps done of 10. It's a long way to go. It's a long day today, and it's an even longer day tomorrow. We've got a lot of PUBG to play. We've got enough time to show Comic-Con Bengaluru what we are all about. Why is it that we are one of the top contenders? And I think they've proven that time and above. There's going to be a lot more teams now eyeing Indian rivals and saying, you know what? This is a squad now we need to watch out for as well moving ahead. So with that, we are done with map number 3. We've seen 2 Erangel, 1 Miramar. We're going to be heading back into Miramar real soon. This is the Legion of Champions Series 4 PUBG PC India LAN Finale live from Comic-Con Bengaluru, powered by Lenovo and Intel. I'm Shadeslayer, Apollonia, Foxtrot. We will see you folks in just a bit.